When it comes to estate planning and care, elder care, a lot of folks really don't know what they don't know, and that's where Denny Mayhone comes in. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Now, you have some workshops coming up. We were talking before we got rolling about Medicaid, Medicare, and it turns out I don't know which is which. But that's what this is all about.
Sure. Currently, we're running two different workshops. One is what happens if one of us gets sick, how to legally protect your assets and your family. The other one is what happens when the diagnosis is dementia, legal steps you need to take right now. And so through those, our goal is to educate the public on some of these issues so that they're not slammed with that on top of receiving a diagnosis or on top of a loved one needing long-term care. And so which programs they can take advantage of, what are they already eligible for, or maybe not taking advantage of fully. And so that's where our goal for the workshops is.
It's a diagnosis that nobody wants, you know, that dementia, Alzheimer's, something of that nature. So many things happen in that moment. Where do, without giving the workshop right now, because that's what we're gonna talk about when we have the workshop, but where do folks, what is the first step?
So the first step is to take a look and see what exactly is already in place. Are there powers of attorney in place? Are there court actions going on? Is a litigation happening? Are there conservatorships? Are we in the middle of a probate? Are they on rehab in a nursing home or a rehab center and they're probably not coming home? So when we're looking at what steps they need to take, it's where are they in that journey? We call it the elder care continuum. Are they at home? Are they able to return home? And then what do they have? And how do they have it? So, for example, if they have a joint bank account, someone else is able to manage that money for them. But what if they have an IRA? My wife is the beneficiary of my IRA, but she can't call my broker and say, hey, start $1,000 a month because he needs care. So that's where the powers of attorney come into play, or other planning essentials that they may need.
And these are the things that you're going to go through in the workshop.
Right. We talk through these things in a no-nonsense, as much legalese out of it as I can get, so that it just is applicable to as many people as possible. Where are they on the continuum? What do they have in place? And what are they looking at? For long-term care, it always starts at home, or almost always starts at home. But then we have facilities, and not all facilities take Medicaid. Medicare doesn't cover long-term care. So Medicare is a federal program that you qualify for by paying into the system and reaching the age or qualification for it. Medicaid is needs-based. So do you have the need? Are you under certain restricted measurements of your resources and your income to qualify? And then ultimately, does the facility accept Medicaid?
That's a huge part of it. So with folks who are listening, who this may be something, a conversation that it's time to start having, how are they going to find out about the workshops? And another piece of it is, what does this workshop look like? Because, you know, do I want to sit in a room full of people with an attorney talking to me, and like, how is this going to be a personalized experience for somebody who's having a very personal experience?
Sure. So the first thing that we would do is they can go to our website. They're welcome to call our office, and our team will tell them the next upcoming workshop that might work for their time frame. This year we are doing in-person and virtual meetings. So in person, we're in a room. It lasts about an hour, depending on the questions. The recorded one, the virtual one, is another way. So virtually, not everyone can drive to an event, stay there for an hour, and then drive home. For some people, they can't go at all. So we've taped it and recorded it so that they would be able to watch it later. So either three of those are available to families. And so during there, we can't get deep down into the specifics for that person, but we can cover the rules. We can cover the issues they should be looking for and take that and apply it to their personal situation. And then ultimately, if after attending a workshop they need more or they want to do more, then we can schedule an appointment for them and they can sit down, and then we can do a deep dive into their personal information.
Well, listen, there's not a lot of silver linings, I guess, that came out of COVID, but the enhancement of the virtual scene and space is really, what has helped for those folks that can't get out. For those folks that may be caring for someone right now and don't have the ability to have someone else care, they can still go through the process with your team, with you or with your team, and really figure out what is going to be best for not only them, but for their loved one.
Right, because when we look at long-term care, we're talking about thousands to tens of thousands of dollars per month for that care. So that could wipe out a family's savings in a very short amount of time. People are worried about their house. For many families, the house, not just the actual monetary value of the house, but the emotional value of the house. That's the home they grew up in. That's where, they've watched the kids have Christmas, birthdays, graduations, etc. So how do we protect those things from these programs? And we're not breaking the law. It's all within the rules of the program, but the Medicaid manual and the Medicaid policies would fill that wall, right? So it's knowing what to do and what applies to your situation.
And these are going to be things that are readily available at a moment's notice, because you just mentioned those policies, it's like pages and pages and pages, and nobody has the energy or the time when they're dealing with something like this to go through all of that. But then it's one thing today. It could be something else 6 months from now, something else a year from now, depending on who's in the house, so there are layers of this that make it even more complicated that you can completely chip away at whenever you sign up for these or agree to these workshops and get educated yourself.
Right, so our role is to keep up to date with those things, because we all have our lives and we're able to do that and help families navigate through these complexities. And how do we protect the house? How do we take care of mom? And what if mom has to go into long-term care in a nursing home? How do we make sure dad doesn't have to squalor live, to make sure that he's taken care of? And swip it, if dad goes in and mom has to stay at home, how do we make sure mom's taken care of?
Especially if dad was the one that managed everything and mom never had to do anything else, then that's 2 layers of conditions that you now have to deal with.
So we get more and more complexity with each family, and each family is individualized. And so that's why at the workshops we cover these broad topics. Here are the rules, here's how they apply. If they work for you, great, and you already know I'm qualified, it's not a problem. But for many families, it's those questions that if they call the doctor's office can't answer it, etc.
It's a customized plan. If that's not if you miss that part, it's customized to your specific family need. It's customized to the specific needs of your loved one. So reach out to that number there at the bottom of your screen, website. Denny Mayhone's going to be able to be the one to help you through this process and educate you on what's changing, what's coming ahead, and really help you get off on the right foot.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.